Hey, what's going on, world? This is Kay Williams for Chronicles Media. Have an interview this afternoon with DeAnna Bennett, who recently defeated Justine Kish in Bellator 284 Women's Flyweight Division. We have a lot to unpack, and we're going to go ahead and bring her right on in. Hey, DeAnna, how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining Chronicles Media. It's well appreciated. How you been?
Can't complain. After a win, everything's been good. Flew out to Utah. That's where I'm at right now, visiting my mom. It's what I actually do after every fight, and it just so happens to be a UFC this weekend. So I get the double of going to some fights and seeing some friends fight.
Right on. So just pretty much staying busy, staying around the culture of MMA, keeping the creative juices going.
Always. I mean, I was back to Monday morning. I was at practice. You can't keep me away. So I Yeah. My coach is like, I better see you Monday morning. I'm like, bro, there wasn't even a question of whether I was going to show up or not. I'm going to be at practice. So,
Right on. So that's a cool overview of what your past week has been. So let's go ahead and jump into the fight because that's why we're here, right?
uh huh.
Right on, right on. So being that it was your second match with Justine Kish, Bellator 284, um, how did you go about this fight mentally?
It was an interesting one because never in my career have I fought somebody back to back like that. Um, and honestly, whenever you fight somebody that you've already fought, I find it harder to fight them the second time because, you know, yeah, you know what they're going to do, you know what they know what you're going to do, but like it's a mental game of whether they're going to switch things up or what they're going to take on this one. And a lot happens between the first fight and this fight. I had a whole different coaching staff. I had a whole different team. I was already cross training in Philadelphia before, for the first Justine fight, and then for this second one, that was my permanent. That's my permanent gym, and so I had Daniel Gracie and I had John Marquez in my corner for the first time for this fight, and so that was a lot different as well. And so it was interesting prepping for it. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little, I don't want to say pissed off, but I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder for having to fight her twice in a row. I felt like it might have been a little, maybe I'm not sure if disrespectful is the right word, but I don't feel like I should have had to fight her twice in a row. But I'm a fighter. It's what I do. I wanted to get into that cage, and so I did.
So during the second time around, did you go back and study because you had already faced her before? Did you study any of her strengths or weaknesses coming into the rematch?
So my coach, we got to the gym and we sat down and we watched mine and her fight. We watched her fight with Alima. We went through all of that, and because that's, it's not just what you do in the training room. You have to do your homework. You have to look into your opponent and kind of see that kind of stuff. So I personally hate watching myself fight, but my coach made me. So yeah, I didn't want to leave any stone unturned with the fight, and so I did what I had to do to be able to win.
During the fight, you came out really comfortable. You came out really aggressive. So, in your opinion, did you feel like you was losing the fight at any point in the fight? Did you ever
No,
think that Justine Kish might be winning?
no, not at all. Not a single second. And I was actually a little mad that the judges gave her a round because I feel like she was running the whole time. And I feel like she wasn't engaging. And that was her game plan. Her game plan was to counter strike and to get me to do it. But literally she was just standing there. And I feel like I landed the harder strikes. I landed the more significant strikes. Um I'm I'm not happy with my performance because what happened in the first round is what I wanted to do in the second and third round. But I had a shoulder injury going into the fight. At the very end of the first round, it's probably when I was striking her with my shoulder. It aggravated, and so I didn't want to do anything to risk getting stuck underneath her and not being able to move my arm. And so I wanted to put on a more dominant fight like the first one was, but I had to play it a little bit as safe just because my shoulder was hurting me and I didn't want to risk anything crazy happening. I wanted that win. I was going to do what I could to get the win, but I'm not going to lie, I was in a lot of pain.
And that's what I want to express on. I'm glad that you were able to give an explanation, because during the second round, I wasn't sure whether or not it was a strategic game plan by your corner to have you kind of cool down, because you took it kind of easy in the second round, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's not what I wanted. We train hard rounds, like going strong the entire time training. Like when we spar, we do 5-minute rounds, and then we do grappling rounds afterwards so that we can push the pace every single second in the fight. And I hate that it was a little bit less in that second round. Again, these are the things that I'm mad at myself about, but I was in a significant amount of pain, and I was trying to recoup so that I can get my shoulder to work for the rest of the fight. And I it kills me. I know when he makes me watch that fight, I'm going to be so upset. I don't want to watch it anytime soon. I need some time before my next fight, but it it kills me because I'm used to pushing the pace the entire time, and not being able to do that makes me really mad.
What have you been doing to kind of rehab the shoulder leading up into your next fight?
Um, so I have a series of exercises, and I have a doctor's working on it. It's just an AC joint sprain, and so it's nothing serious. It's not going to be anything long term. Couple more weeks at the most, and it'll be okay. It was just terrible timing. It was my last hard week, the first day, like Monday of my last hard week, and it just so happened at the very tail end of practice. And so, if it happened at the beginning of the camp, it probably wouldn't have affected me at all. But since it was right there at the very end, it was just right there where it didn't have enough time to fully heal. And so, I'm doing what I can to make sure it's 100%, and it's nothing that's going to give me long term damage. And so, once it's healed, and it should be good.
Right on. That's a good update. Um, as far as where you rank your hardest fights throughout your career, where do you rank this last fight in Justine Kish?
Um, as far as like opponent and fights, I would say it's somewhere in the middle. She's a tough competitor. I think the difficultness for this fight came with just trying to counter her game plan. Like I was saying, she really wasn't engaging. She was kind of running away. She'd strike and then run, and strike and then run, and it's always hard to deal with that kind of situation because, like, I want to throw down. I want to come forward, and I want to make it exciting. And it's so hard to fight somebody who doesn't necessarily want to engage like that. And like I get it. She didn't want to get taken down because you see what happens in the first round. If I was able to get my hands on her again like that, I'm going to take her down again and do the same thing because I wanted that finish. And so, I think the hardness of this fight comes with that. But as far as like super hard, tough fights, yeah, it's in the middle. I've been in some wars before, and I've mostly just because I've had a million fights, it feels like, and I can't wait to have a million more.
Right on. So definitely a night from a fierce competitive warrior and Justine Kish. So when it comes to, I guess, women's flyweight, your division, and your personal, candid, raw opinion, because I know DeAnna is just DeAnna, how competitive is your division?
Um, it's as far as female divisions in Bellator, I mean, there's only two, but it's definitely competitive. And if you look at the fighters at the top of the division, you have Kana, you have Denise Clayholtz, you have the champ Liz, you have Juliana Velasquez, like Alima. those are tough fighters. Even like I'm running number 5 now. You have Vita at 6. She's super tough and like resilient. We just saw her take out Vanessa Porto, who's a former champ with Invicta and always been a tough competitor. That's somebody who I always wanted to test myself with, and maybe one day in the future I'll get to once I get the belt. She makes her way up there because that's what's up. Um, but it's very competitive. All there's Look at the records, look at the amount of experience. It's a tough division. It is, and I'm just excited to be a part of it. Honestly, like people ask me all the time, like, oh, would you ever want to go fight for another organization? I'm like, why? Bellator has great competition. They treat me well. I love fighting for them. Like I'm happy to be a part of that division.
At age 37,
Yep.
you're a very seasoned, respectful fighter. Your record shows that. You're more of a winner than not.
Thank you.
What's the motivation behind DeAnna Bennett continuing to fight?
I love it. I mean, it's I always told myself that if I didn't love it, I wouldn't keep doing it. And I've had rough times in my career where I was like, okay, I haven't won a fight in a while. Like things are pretty rough. And then if I ever felt like I couldn't keep up competitively with the other people that I was going against, I don't want to be that fighter that just goes out there and just gets mauled because I'm past my prime. But like I'm not going to say age is just a number, but I feel like I'm in better shape now than when I was 10 years ago. I feel like a better fighter, and not just because of this experience, but because of the team that I have, the people around me, just the work that I'm putting in. Like I I feel like I'm in my prime. Like there's no other way of saying it. I feel so much better now. And, if that ever changed, then that's a different situation. But like I love what I do. Every day I get up and I'm so grateful that I get to live my dreams. And I was talking to a friend, and it's like, we get to get up every day, live the life that we want, travel to different countries, really just enjoy yourselves. You're not locked down at a 9 to 5 job, married to somebody who you might not like and just hating your life and dreading getting up every day. Like every day I'm super excited. Like I get to get up and I get to go to the gym, and those are my people, and there's my friends and my family, and we get to work side by side and just enjoy where I'm at. And like as long as I have that joy and I'm able to be competitive, then I love it. Well, am I going to be able to do this forever? Obviously not. It's there reaches a point where you have to call it quits, but I don't see that happening anytime soon just because of how I feel about it.
So, how many fights, if you had to put a number on it, how many fights are actually left in the tank?
Um oh man. That's a hard one cuz I don't know. Like 4 is my favorite number, so I could always put that number out there. That was my hockey number was 44, water polo number was 4. But I could see that. It also depends because like female eventually, maybe one day I might settle down. That would take a special human. Not gonna lie, to deal with this, it would take a special human to be able to deal with this. And so we have not come across one of those yet. But like, I would like to have a family. I would like to have kids, whether my own or at my age, it's probably a we'll see what happens with that. But like, and but maybe because I want to win the title, and in my opinion, you have to be able to defend the title to really call yourself champ. And so that's at least a few more fights. And like I said, as long as I'm loving it and as long as I'm motivated and happy, I want to keep fighting. um I mean, maybe when I reach like my 40s I'd stop, which
So, at
isn't
least,
too far off. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
but at least 4 more fights.
At least 4 more fights, minimum 4 more fights. Definitely could be more than that.
Right on. Thank you for the update. So before we get out of here, I have a question that I want to know, and I'm pretty sure the DeAnna Bennett support base would like to know too. Who holds you accountable within your circle and pushes you to be the best athlete that you absolutely can be?
I really like that question. And, obviously, I mentioned my coaches, and they're really great mentors. But honestly, if you don't have self accountability, you don't make it to the top. You don't make it far in this world in MMA. And so it's a battle with myself every day. You know, I there's days where things are rough, and if you can tell yourself to get up and do the things that you want to do or need to do, that's what keeps you going. And obviously there's like a whole series of checks and balances there, and thankfully we have such a great team and family there at the gym. And so if you don't show up for practice, the coach is like, excuse me, where were you? Do you not have a fight? Do you not want to do this? He doesn't really say that to me often, and if he ever does, it's because I went to a different gym and still was training. But for me, it's a fight with myself, because I know what it takes, and I know the people that are behind me. I don't owe it just to myself. I owe it to every single training partner that I have. I owe it to my coaches. I owe it to the fans, my family, anyone that supports me. I owe I owe it to them to do whatever I can, that to be the best fighter I can, because they're supporting me. And if I'm just gonna piss off and not take it seriously, like, no, I take it seriously because of people that have belief in me. And so number one is I have to hold myself accountable, but it's because of everyone around me and the respect that I have for anyone that supports me to put in the work and to be the best.
DeAnna Bennett, always with the real emotions, and that's what I respect the most about you, not only as a premier fighter, but a woman and a human. I appreciate that for
Thank you.
coming on Can Chronicles Media. We look forward to seeing you back in the cage pretty soon,
I
and you
hope
stay
so.
healthy. Absolutely, and you stay healthy, and well wishes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.